Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. How are you guys doing today? Are you ready for this quick little show? What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday, February 28th, 2:02 p.m. on the East Coast. Nobody cares what time it is in California. And I wanted to go live because I've been making some tweets over the past, a couple of days, and some of them are getting retweeted, others are not. And I don't know what it is. Maybe in the past couple of days, I started to figure out something more about myself than I possibly have before, because I've realized that a lot of people are, what's the right word? Bandwagoneers? Is that a word? I think most of you guys will understand what I mean by there. I think a lot of people just jump on the easiest thing I can go back and forth on this is Donald Trump, right? So this Trump DeSantis riff is it's insane on social media. If you pay attention to it on social media, it's going back and forth like crazy, and all these the Trump supporters are attacking the DeSantis supporters, going so far as to schedule rallies in front of DeSantis's book signings and things today, which, I mean, they're not. They're counter-protests. Let's be honest. You can call it a rally all you want, but it's a counter-protest. And doing that right now at where we are in this country is just kind of silly, right? One of the people that is the most outspoken about this is Laura Loomer. Now, I haven't really followed her for that long, but I've seen some of her tweets, and she's been kind of abrasive. Dana Loesch is a radio commentator, podcaster, whatever. I think she used to be an NRA spokesperson, but she's gone back and forth with oh God, I forgot her name now. My brain is just fried today. Laura Loomer. She's gone back and forth with her about DeSantis and his policies on red flag laws, and Laura Loomer quoted DeSantis as saying something that was a headline of a news article that said that there were lots of red flags when it came to the Parkland shooter where he was still a candidate. It's kind of crazy because they go back and forth and they're attacking each other, and essentially Loomer's attacking anybody that's questioning her rationale. And so I've been asking targeted questions, and she keeps retweeting or quote tweeting my tweets out, which means that I get a tremendous amount of trolls on the page, and that's fine, because my goal is not one thing. I want to find out why I should vote for Donald Trump. I voted for Donald Trump twice. I'll be honest with you. I voted for Donald Trump twice. I don't know why I should vote for him again. All his policies and things that he wants to put into place are policies and things he could have put in place when he was in power, when he was the president of the United States. His whole, social media Bill of Rights, all of those things he could have done unilaterally when he was president. He didn't do it. And then there's lots of things that I just question, like, for example, the Dr. Oz endorsement. For the life of me, that doesn't make any sense. I can't understand it. And it severely causes me to question, just him, for that reason. And, I specifically asked, Laura Loomer if she could ask the doctor, or if she could answer the Dr. Oz endorsement, because that's the one thing I don't understand. And she's his biggest proponent. And her response was that she doesn't work for Trump. Excuse me. That she doesn't work for Trump. If she did, she would probably be fired on day one for telling him to stop endorsing shitheads and rhino backstabbers like Speaker McCarthy. And then she goes on to say he didn't even endorse her when she was running for Congress, but she still supports him because he's the best man for the job. Well, if you would have been fired for his endorsements of McCarthy and Graham and Dr. Oz and all the other boneheads that he's endorsed that are literally destroying our country every single day, why should anyone else vote for him? You shouldn't vote for him out of a popularity contest. That's the thing that that's what I don't understand. I don't know why so many people are following when you can't even get concrete questions like that. My belief and why I believe he endorsed Dr. Oz was simply because he wanted to win. He wanted that notch on his belt, and he probably thought that Dr. Oz was the best candidate to win. Not the best candidate for America, but the best candidate to win. And that's why he endorsed Dr. Oz. I don't believe so. I think Kathy Barnett would have been a much better candidate to win. And I think she would have been she would have beat, in my opinion, she would have beat Fetterman, and she would be a United States Senator right now. But he endorsed Dr. Oz instead. I don't understand it. And I use that as like a picture or as a roadmap to a larger picture, right? Because you can look at that endorsement, you can look at some other endorsements and then question like, okay, what would he have done different? Okay, like we know with Ukraine stuff that would have been far different, right? And I firmly believe that. I don't believe if Donald Trump was president today that Russia would have went into Ukraine. I don't believe that. Nor do I believe that we would have sent all this money. I think the crisis at the border would have never happened as much as it has now. I believe certain things like that. I think that the tough on crime attitude would have been beneficial. But then again, when you look at it as a whole, what is the incentive to vote for him versus somebody else that doesn't have his baggage that still feels the same way? Now, I understand a lot of the talking points of the right are being echoed now by all these other political candidates. You got the other business guy, the Indian American, I forgot what his name is, and I'd probably butcher it if I try. He's just literally putting out videos every single day talking about the same talking points that everyone else is. The CRT, the COVID this, the lockdown this, the defunding the Department of Education, all the same talking points. And some of them are valid, but they're just reporting the same things. And someone said, yeah, but Kathy didn't have the clout. Unfortunately, that's a necessity to win. That's why a lot of choices don't make sense. Dr. Oz didn't have the clout either. That's why he lost. Because a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives were not willing to put their vote behind that guy. If I lived in Pennsylvania, I probably would not have voted for that race. Because I don't want to vote for people that are not good for me. That are not good for this country. People that don't represent the things that I represent. And someone said, and who is this someone else exactly? Nobody vote Trump, end of story. See, you remember when everyone would get mad when people would say they're not voting for Trump because they don't like who he is, right? And so, it's not even a matter of the lesser two evils. It's they really just did not like Donald Trump, so they're voting for someone else. Not because they didn't like policies, just because they didn't like that person as a human being. You can't vote for someone that way. You have to vote for someone for what's best for the country. And I think a lot of people are just they forget that. They forget that you have to vote for who is the best person to run the country. Do people firmly believe that Donald Trump, if he gets back into the White House, that none of the stuff about January 6th, none of the stuff about the elections being weird, none of that stuff is going to come to, is going to come back and talk about it. None of the decisions that he makes. And we already went 4 years with every single accomplishment that he made in the White House never being covered. Every single thing that he did was scrutinized. And if it was a positive thing, they ignored it. And if it was negative, they didn't cover it. And so the large majority of America right now is blindsided by the fact that, our country was actually doing pretty well prior to COVID setting in. It's I don't know. It's frustrating to me. And my worry is that if Donald Trump does get the Republican primary, which he has a good likelihood of doing, if Donald Trump does win the Republican primary, are we going to have all the conservatives that have said that they won't vote for Donald Trump, right? That they just don't want to vote for him? Or all the people that are on the fence? Let's just talk about that, because that's a large majority of Americans right now. All the people that are on the fence that, are like, I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like the baggage. I don't like the fact that he's pushing, there's all these different conversations. And I haven't heard one concrete reason why I should vote for Donald Trump again. DeSantis hasn't even announced that he's running for office. Everybody keeps talking about DeSantis like he's He hasn't even decided if he runs for. And I think right now he's barred. He would have to resign as governor of Florida. And do I think DeSantis is going to run? Probably. And everyone keeps talking about, oh, he's a globalist, oh, this, oh, that. You saw, I talked about yesterday in a video or during my live stream about the Gateway Pundit and how they put out that propaganda saying Soros endorsed DeSantis, which is not true. And there's so many accounts that even though it's now known that that's not true, there's so many accounts that are just going and retweeting everything. Tumbleweed said, starting to think you are here to divide. What? How am I dividing by questioning who would be the best person to vote for? Do you know what I mean? I voted for him twice. And as of right now, I would vote for him again because he is the front runner. And I certainly don't want another 4 years of Joe Biden. But I want to know, and I want to know this from every candidate. We should ask, what is going to be different? Do you know what I mean? What is going to be different? What is going to be different this time? What is he going to do now that he didn't have the presidential authority to do in the first 4 years? Do you know what I mean? He wasn't all like his social media Bill of Rights and all of those things, everything that he said he could do, in terms of, the rollbacks and executive orders, he could have did those from day one. He could have started he could have done all of the things, every single thing that he listed in that social media Bill of Rights, he could have did. So why didn't he do it? Sherry Vincent Carroll said the only reason Soros would endorse DeSantis is to turn people against him. Well, Soros didn't endorse DeSantis. It's not true. What he said, and this is what everyone's leaving out, he said that between Donald Trump and DeSantis, he believes it will be DeSantis because he believes DeSantis is a stronger candidate. And he hopes that when that happens, if DeSantis does win the primary, that Donald Trump then will run as an independent and split the conservative votes, and Democrats will have a sweeping landslide. That's what he said. And nobody's actually reporting the truth on that. Because there is a good likelihood that Donald Trump would, if he doesn't win the primary, that he would, in fact, run as an independent. Because he wants to win. And it's funny that people will say just because I think about things, right? And I do it from a unique perspective, right? Because I'm live. So when I'm talking live, my thoughts are going through my head and I say those thoughts, and a lot of people are like, "Whoa, you're turning liberal, or you're not part of the fight, or you're blah blah blah," and all these silly arguments. The best thing that I do is when I put out a YouTube video and someone makes a comment, and you could tell that they put out the comment sooner than it would have took. Like, for example, we had a comment today that was made 5 minutes after I made a video public. The video was 10 minutes. I said, why don't you just watch the video before you comment? And then they deleted their comment because they watched the video and they understood what I was saying. And I think a lot of people do that in general, where they see something, they don't pay attention to what's going on. That was about the Brandon Straka guy. Brandon Straka is, and we won't segue yet to the Trumpism stuff, off of the Trump to the hairstylist conversation. But it's really perplexing to me. It's really perplexing that so many people are not voting for what truly could be the choice, or at least not saying they're going to vote for what truly could be one of the most consequential elections in our history. And the reason why I say that is and this is my dilemma, right? Because of all the announced candidates right now, there isn't one that I would wholly throw my support behind. Not a single one. Think about it. You got Donald Trump. I would heavily lean towards him at this point. You've got, who is it? Nikki Haley, who is announced. You got Mike Pence. I believe he's announced. DeSantis hasn't announced. You got this business guy from California that I never heard of before, from wherever the hell he's from, that I've never heard of. My question is what is the best choice and why. People aren't making compelling reasons by just shitting on the other candidates. That's the thing I hate about the election cycle is the way for people to get a vote or candidates to get a vote are just to talk shit about the other candidate. It's not to talk about what you're going to actually do and how you're going to do it and the steps you're going to take and what the goal of doing those steps and achieving that goal is. Nobody talks about that anymore when it comes to politics. Everybody just talks, shits on other people and other people's track records as if that's some sort of relevation as to whether that person makes a good candidate or is not even makes a good candidate, is the best for America. I mean, think about it. Have you heard anything in any recent election cycle where someone actually outlines what they want to see America become? And then once they get into office, actually fulfills those goals? The closest we probably got was Donald Trump, to be completely honest with you. But again, Donald Trump's whole thing has been overshadowed by controversy. Much of it is completely manufactured. The majority of Donald Trump's controversy is fake. It's not real. You got the Russian hoax. You got all this stuff, the January 6th insurrection. Yeah, all that stuff. It's all fake. And I understand that. And then you have to also argue and say, well, listen, if they want to go after Donald Trump so bad, if they want to go after him so bad that the left and now the right wants to go after him so bad, then maybe I am missing something. But I haven't heard Donald Trump come out and talk. I mean, the most presidential I've seen Donald Trump in years was last week. No joke. Last week when he was in East Palestine, Ohio, that was the most presidential speech I've heard from Donald Trump in years. We went to rally after rally after rally, and it's the same thing. Just shitting on other people, not really talking about what you're going to do and how you're going to achieve it. It's easy to say, oh, we're going to end world hunger or whatever the talking point is. We're going to end this war on Ukraine. We're going to end the border crisis. It's really easy to say that unless you actually lay out all the steps that you're going to do it, whether it's all by executive order and you do it as much as you can that way or what. But you're not hearing that. And I know with the social media Bill of Rights, but then again, and I know he did it with the social media Bill of Rights, but the problem with me is when the social media Bill of Rights came out with Donald Trump, I looked at it and I'm like, he could have did all this shit already. Every single thing that he listed in there could have been done during his first term. He didn't do any of it. And you can't make the argument that it wasn't known, that we didn't know big tech was censoring conservative talk. We didn't know that. Come on, we've known that for years. They've been talking about it forever. Someone said, I don't think Mike Pence has announced. Oh, really? I thought he did. I thought he announced that he was running. I thought he said he was doing it after the holiday. Some holiday. Tumbleweed made the comment earlier in the chat, and I don't remember what it was, but it was just like something, saying that I'm not, following. Or I don't even remember what he said. It was something derogatory towards my attitude on this, and then he said, "We don't choose anymore. We're all slaves." Speak for yourself. That's why I'm having this conversation. I'm not a slave. I'm someone that can make up my own mind about who to vote for. I'm certainly not going to be guilt tripped in it. I just wish these talking heads, I wish the Laura Loomers and all the other people that were out there speaking about this stuff, I just wish they'd be honest and they'd talk about policy. I wish Donald Trump would go out and do more interviews and he would talk about policy and the different things he's going to do and the different things he's going to change. Stop with the Ron DeSanctimonious and all that shit. We have to bring back, figuring out what's best for this country. You want to unify America? How about have a candidate that runs and he doesn't engage in all these stupid, trivial bullshit attacks back and forth? No. The only thing he does is he talks about what he's going to do when he's going to get in office, how he's going to do it, and lays it all out for the world to see. So that way, when it is achieved, he could say, yep, see, we did it. Someone said Pence has not filed paperwork yet, and he hasn't announced. Okay. Someone said, very true. Trump talked a whole lot about big tech censorship and did nothing about it. He only hosted meetings at the White House. Yeah, I mean, it's a given when you actually pay attention to stuff every day and you pay attention to the politics. And I understand it's what my wife always says. When we talk about politics and she gets mad because I know all of these current events. I know what's going on in DC. I pay attention to it because I have the luxury of for 8 hours a day to sitting here reading every single news article, watching Senate hearings, watching, the press conferences. It's literally what I do for a living. So I watch it every single day and I pay attention to what's going on. Not everybody has that luxury. Other people have to go out and build houses or drive truck. Well, driving truck, you could still listen to the radio, but you know what I mean? Other people have jobs where they're not necessarily able to read breaking news as it comes out and policies and procedures, or like today, listen to the entire Supreme Court case, about the student loan forgiveness. Like a lot of people just don't have that ability, but what I'm wondering about is when do people care about the country before they care about party? I guess that's the real thing I'm struggling with right now. Is it seems so much people are caring more about a particular person and reputation than they do about our country. And it's on both ways. It's that goes on the Republican side and the Democrat side. And I think people have to remember you have to do what's best for your country. And what's best for your country may not necessarily be, Donald Trump, or it may not necessarily be something else. It may just be you. Someone said, God rides a Harley. Said, Steve, I made the point before, is a moderator. I have time to do things that live streamers don't, yourself included. Okay, I don't know what that means. Are you contradicting me? Okay. Oh, man. Someone said, talking about policy doesn't get clicks. That's a problem. Yeah, and I get that too. I understand that. It's sometimes you get more headlines being controversial. You get more clicks. You get more views. I mean, look at it. When you make a rational point, like, for example, the Brandon Straka thing. Like, I don't know how many of you guys watched the video I put out this morning. Not a lot. Didn't get a lot of traction, which is fine. But Brandon Straka is the guy that led the walkaway movement, right? So that whole group that was formed around 2018, and it was meant to get Democrats who were tired of the Democrat, lies, to walk away and become Trump supporters or become conservative or whatever. And he led that movement. It was a big movement, right? And then he had a planned speech on January 6th. Obviously, the riot happened on January 6th. He ended up getting arrested for it, charged with a felony. He pled down that felony by cooperating with the FBI and Department of Justice based on a cooperative agreement with the government that was released to the media. And he ended up having that charge dropped down to a misdemeanor. Apparently, and he disappeared, to be completely honest. Like, I didn't hear about him for a long time. And then he popped up on my feed yesterday with this video rant that was getting, a lot of traction, talking about how he's getting canceled because of his policies and his support for Donald Trump, or the fact that he has a misdemeanor charge now for insurrection or whatever you want to say, and saying that a business made the decision that they didn't want to serve him or didn't want to work with him anymore. And so he was effectively, without doing it directly, he was effectively calling for that business to be boycotted. And at least some in the comments were directly doing that, putting emails and phone numbers and things like that of the business. I made the point, which is a point I've been making since COVID set in, that a business has the right to make a determination on who they allow to come into their restaurant. And that's my belief. That's my belief, is that a business, I myself can refuse to serve someone for whatever reason, because that's my right as a business owner, right? Or at least that's my belief. And I also believe a salon has a right to refuse someone for whatever reason. But and make no mistake, should political ideology be considered discrimination? Sure. Should it be a protected class? Sure. But it's not. I don't believe anybody should be forced to do anything. And I went a step further in my video and I said, listen, if Brandon Straka was to come into this place, I would ask him to leave. I wouldn't serve him either. And you could be like, whoa, Steve, what do you mean you wouldn't serve him? Because here's the thing. I don't support people that tell on other people. Brandon Straka termed confidential informant or cooperating witness with the federal government in attempts to get people in trouble. I don't support that. I'll never support that. And I knew about that, and I think I talked about it previously, but I've never really addressed it. But I have that right to say, no, I don't want you in my restaurant, my restaurant. I don't want you in my cafe. I don't want you in my store. I don't want you in my face. I have that right, right? As a business owner. A lot of people are forgetting that businesses should have the right to make their own determination. And a lot of people, including Brendan Straka, have posts that were talking about the cake shop. Remember that? That we're talking about the cake shop that was forced to make an LGBTQ plus cake and all that stuff. And he's got tweets about it. He's got tweets saying businesses should be able to make their own decisions about following COVID guidelines from June of 2020. He's got those tweets on his profile. But for some reason, it kind of goes to what I was saying yesterday. For some reason, a lot of people on the conservative side believe that it's a one-way path. It's a one-way thing. That, you know, you can be pissed that the left is doing something, but when you do it, it's now acceptable because you are on the right, and therefore it's okay. And it's not. You know? It's I don't know, man. It's really confusing. It's really confusing to me. You know, all this stuff, like, and I said it yesterday about Trump saying that DeSantis shut down Florida. It's not true. You know, I don't know. I think I'm at like some weird crossroad, and I'm trying to figure out where I align politically. You know what I mean? I know I'm not a Republican anymore, but I think more of my views are libertarian than anything else. I think I have more libertarian views than even conservative now, because I realize, because my thing is, I want my kids to grow up and have a great place. You know, a great country. That's all I want. I don't want some little, you know, I don't want every 4 years to have this power struggle between policies that are just going to bankrupt us. And then the other government comes in or the other form of government comes in and they reverse some of those policies, and we all get a little bit of breathing room. And then 4 years from then, there's another big bubble. And I don't want that anymore. And I don't know how you fix that. Right? Because I mean, I say I lean libertarian, but then I was looking at libertarian policies, and several of them I fundamentally disagree with as well. So I don't know where I lie politically, and nor do I know where I want to vote in 2024. I don't know who I want to vote for, because I feel like a lot of the politicians, whether you're on the local, state, or national level, a lot of them are just out there and they're lying. They're just lying to you about everything. Even some popular ones, they're just lying. A great example, like I said yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She stood up for what she believed in for the first 2 years, and then she caved for committee assignments with Kevin McCarthy. Doesn't make any damn sense. Doesn't make any sense. You know? I don't know, man. It's very confusing to me, because it's something that I'm like, you know, I'm thinking about, and then I see all these figureheads, and I see this shit going on between DeSantis supporters and Trump supporters, and I realize that I don't really like any of them. Meaning I like Trump or DeSantis at this point in my life. You know, because again, I'm not thinking about now. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about next week or next year. I'm thinking about my kids' futures, my kids tomorrow, my kids next week, my kids next year. Do you know what I mean? And so maybe it's just my priorities have suddenly shifted, and I care about it more now than I have previously. But I realize that if we don't do something, and the majority of Americans don't come up and just kind of wake up from this and say, hey, listen, we got to stop. There has to be concessions. You can't beat it, you know, the left into submission just as much as the left isn't going to be able to beat the right into submission. There has to be concessions by both sides in order to achieve some sort of livable space. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people don't forget about that. I think, or a lot of people do forget about that. And just say, no, we got to beat them into submission. We got to do this. We got to do that. Like yesterday when I was talking about the library thing, right? Someone said, oh, there's, you know, sexual deviance in school books. That's why school books are being removed. And I challenged that person on YouTube that made that comment to tell me one title of a book that's been removed from a school that they know without Googling it. In the case in point, there's probably only one person in this chat right now that could tell you a title of a book that's been removed. And the only reason she knows that, she sits on a school board. Do you know what I mean? The majority of the books that are being removed are not, they're just simply not. They're non-existent. You may have a book that's brought into a library in some weird school somewhere, and then that makes national headlines. I don't know. I think we're all being played. It's what I said yesterday, and I firmly believe it. I was thinking about it a lot last night. I think we're all being politically played by both sides, by the Republicans and the Democrats. I think the Republicans are using all the same talking points, all the buzzwords, all of that information because they know it's just going to get you pissed off, right? And then the left is doing the same thing to radicalize their base. But nobody's thinking long term anymore. You can't think long term. You can't pay attention to what's actually happening in the long term because everyone has made it such a point that we have to worry about now. We have to worry about now. We're going to lose everything now. Which I don't necessarily think we are. You know? Shael on Facebook said, "You're falling for the bait by backstabbing Trump." See, but and I appreciate your comment, but I wish you would just listen to what I've said, because nothing I said during this show has backstabbed Donald Trump, and nothing of this show has lessened any support. What I believe has lessened any support for Donald Trump. Not for me, nor for anybody else. What it is questioning, what is he going to do? Why should I vote for him? Because voting is not something that people should just go do that day and be proud they did it. It's something you should be proud about doing for a long time, or even regretful about it. Voting is incredibly important. You know, I've always said people shouldn't just vote down party line, although I'm guilty of doing that. I've never once voted for a Democrat. You know, I voted for an independent. Maybe. I don't remember. But I've never voted for a Democrat in my life. So it's kind of like hypocritical for me to say don't vote, down party lines, because I always have. I don't know. J Mart said, "Are you going to be at CPAC?" You know, I was actually thinking about going to CPAC because it's right here. I was thinking about it. I'd have to close the store, and I think the ticket fees are rather expensive. You know? But I don't think I'm backstabbing Donald Trump by asking questions of why I should vote for him. I think if you feel that way, then you have to take a good hard look at yourself and realize that these questions, the questions I'm asking now and the questions others are asking, are the questions you're supposed to be asking as an educated voter. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be wondering why you can vote. In fact, that's what you should be asking your candidates. Why should I vote for you? What is going to be different? You know, especially the incumbent candidates or the ones that are returning to office should be saying, what is going to be different from your first term or your second term or your 15th term, depending on, what policy. That's what it should be. Stargazer147 said, "You're voting for Trump. He deserves it." No, he doesn't deserve it. Do you deserve it? Do we all deserve it? It's not about whether Donald Trump deserves to be president again. It's whether we deserve to have Donald Trump as president again. That's the truth, because in all reality, it is incredibly important. And my biggest fear, and again, it's not, I guess it is a critique of Donald Trump. My biggest fear is that no matter what good he accomplishes in another term, it would be overshadowed by the fact that so many people just hate the guy. So many people hate him, and that's my one, major. That's the one major the major hesitation that I have. And then the Dr. Oz endorsement, I just simply don't understand. Yeah, that really pissed me off. Kathy Barnett was a far better candidate than Dr. Oz. And I just don't know why they did her so dirty, And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just interesting because you could see. Someone said, has Trump earned your vote? You say yes. Yeah. I mean, and you can say that. Everybody can have that opinion. You could feel that Donald Trump has earned your vote. I just don't think he has mine yet. I haven't heard anything new. I've heard the same talking points. I look at every day when he's posting on Truth Social. It's all Ron DeSanctimonious. I wish a fucking political candidate would just be, presidential. That's what I wish, and maybe someday it'll happen. That will have a candidate that's presidential. And I'll be honest with you, and this is going to piss some of you guys off. I think DeSantis might be that way. I think running for office, because look at how he's engaged Donald Trump now and all the shit he's said about Donald Trump now, or that all the attacks Trump and Donald Trump supporters have levied on him. He hasn't even responded. He hasn't even, it hasn't affected him at all. Someone said, I could care less who has earned or deserved it, who is best for the country. Well, that's what it means by earning your vote. That's what it means. If someone, at least for me, if I say he's earned my vote, then that means I believe he's best for the country. I don't know if everyone feels that way. Guardian of Chaos on YouTube said, nobody has earned my vote in 2024. Then again, I don't believe at this point our votes matter, but I will always vote. Everyone should vote. Regardless of whether or not you feel like your vote has any weight, it does. Even on local elections, it has weight. Even if it's to cancel out someone else's vote, that is just negative, my wife's, I pretty much, every time I vote, I'm canceling out my wife's vote because she votes the polar opposite of whatever I do. She is someone that votes down the party lines on the Democrat talking points, and it's not because she doesn't want to know. She doesn't have time. She busts her ass all the time. Ron D has forced vax on the books and hasn't taken that clause out, plus red flag laws. Where has Ron DeSantis supported red flag laws? Nobody will be able to find that. You're repeating the same talking points from the people on the right that are saying it. And then you also said Ron DeSantis has forced vaccinations on the books. I don't believe that's true either. So I don't know why people are saying that at all. James on Facebook said, exactly, Donald Trump needs to change his message. DeSantis is not a bad choice. I was an American, that is for American first. Yeah, I think it would be interesting if Donald Trump actually says, you know what? Like, I can call him DeSanctimonious or whatever. That's just my personality. But, I've long said that Donald Trump should have just stayed on the sidelines as the most powerful man in politics. After he left the White House, he truly was on the conservative side. But he decided to enter in this race, and then he's done exactly what you would suspect he's done by going after people and doing the sanctimonious stuff, and by lying, saying that DeSantis is, locked down the state of Florida and all that stuff. I lived in Florida. I could tell you it's not true. Lawrence Rodriguez said, look it up. I don't need to, because I already know DeSantis's quote about red flag laws. When in 2018, before he was governor, he was talking about how there were red flags for the Parkland shooter. That's his quote. He didn't, and he's on the record as saying he doesn't support red flag laws. He believes that they're abused. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason why the majority of Americans don't support red flag laws, because they are abused. We've seen that already. Do you believe that someone that is mentally incapacitated should not have the right to own a gun? That's a red flag law. That's what it means. Doctors reporting them. Someone that's suicidal, someone that's on medication for, suicidal thoughts or whatever. That's a red flag laws. Those aren't the red flag laws that you hear all the time. You're hearing about the one person whose wife, they have an argument and a judge comes and orders all the guns taken away. Those are the same. They are red flag laws. They're different. You got to pay attention to which one you're arguing here. I don't necessarily think the red flag laws where they take guns away from people that are suicidal or domestic abusers while they're pending trial or anything like that, I don't think those are bad. Or someone that wants to harm themselves. You run into that, iffy part, right? Because then a doctor could, take something you say and construe it. And there are, other red flag. But then again, red flag laws don't work. Look at the Buffalo mass shooting. The supermarket shooter. He should have never had a gun. He threatened to shoot up his whole school less than a year prior to that. He should have never had a gun, but he was able to get one, even though New York has very strict red flag laws. And I don't know, and DeSantis is on the record saying he's pushing for constitutional carry in the state of Florida. Why can't you have safe gun ownership. Isn't that what all Second Amendment gun owners believe in, is safe gun ownership? Like, I own guns. Everyone knows that. I'm a concealed carry holder. Everybody knows that. But I know how to use my guns. My kids are trained on the guns. They're trained never to frickin' touch them. You know, they're all locked up. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Someone said it's not that he supports red flag laws, he just hasn't got rid of them or revamped them yet is the problem. Yeah, but do you know he can't unilaterally do that. It needs to go through the Florida legislature. He could do it by executive order, but I don't think DeSantis is one of those executive order pen, swipers like Joe Biden. I don't think so. I don't believe in doing anything by executive order, to be completely honest. I don't think anything should be done by executive order. You know? I don't know. Someone said, I vote party line because Dems will eventually take your God-given rights. It's that simple. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's when you don't know if someone should vote, I guess you do have to do the lesser of two evils, which is sad. But I wish we as a people didn't have to do that. Running Wild said, what's your thinking on getting into politics? You got my vote. Yeah. I don't know. My wife is just, in as many words, she said, if I do run for office, she's divorcing me. So I don't know. I may run for state office. She'd be okay with that. We had a conversation about that the other day. So maybe state office is in my future. I don't think I would ever do federal office because, one, I'm not a perfect person, used to be violent and all that stuff in my life. And secondly, I don't know if I could deal with the bullshit. State level is where actually everything gets done anyway. I would rather do stuff that directly benefit mine. Like if I wanted to really, really improve my kids' futures and our futures, I would run for the board of supervisors in our town and do something about the frickin' taxes. Like just that personal income, personal property taxes this year paid $6,000, over $6,000 in personal property tax. That's for like cars and dogs and shit like that. That's not even our home taxes or anything else. That's one of the things I would do. Someone said concealed carry without a permit in Maine, and we don't have rampant shootings. Yeah, that's called constitutional carry, James. But yeah, but then again, there was that shooting, the video on Twitter that's going viral now of the guy that his gun is jammed, and then he ends up shooting the homeless guy in broad daylight yesterday. And there were all those people standing around. And the first thing I did was I looked up whether or not gun control was a factor in that shooting, meaning that all the people that were sitting there videotaping that murder happen, if any one of them was owned a firearm, they could have stopped that. They knew what he was doing. They knew he was trying to clear a jam. They talked about it on the video. They didn't do anything. They didn't try to interject. They didn't try to stop. And he shot that dude in the head. And that video's, floating around on social media. And the first thing I thought, I'm like, oh, it's St. Louis. It's a Democrat controlled, who is it? Cori Bush. Isn't she from St. Louis, Missouri? So I'm like, the first thing she's from Missouri, I believe. But the first thing I did was look into their gun controls. And Missouri has one of the most lax gun control, they have one of the most lax they're one of the most lax states in terms of gun control. They have constitutional carry and all that good stuff. You could do person-to-person transfers without background checks. You could do all that stuff. So I don't know why everybody in states like that doesn't arm. If I leave this place, I'm armed. I don't know why, I'm armed when I leave my house every single day, and I stay armed until I get home. I don't know why everybody else. I don't know why everybody else isn't armed all the time. And if that isn't, a case in point, it's horrible. So somebody is saying, was it real? Some people are saying it was fake. No, there's news articles on it. It's real. It's real. The one thing I don't understand, and I called out the journalist because I'm like, listen, there's a video that depicted the shooter. It showed the shooter, like in very grave detail. They didn't document it at all. They didn't give a suspect description, clothing. They didn't say what his race was. They didn't say anything. And the video was clear. I don't know, man. It's weird. I just wish I wish, it's not even that I wish. I hope people care more about it. Like, I hope Laura Loomer and all these other big, powerful people, and when I say powerful, because they have huge platforms, they make rational points instead of spreading misinformation, instead of saying, oh, so-and-so supports red flag laws, or Donald Trump saying, the sanctimonious. We need a presidential candidate. I'll be honest. If I was ever to run for president, I would run as an independent. I probably wouldn't win for that, precedent, but I'd probably get votes by both sides of the aisle because I understand the only way for this country to succeed is by concessions. It's by conceding with the other political party because we are on a two-party system. That's the only way to make it happen. You can't push, rules or legislation because then they just get reversed the next time. Look at all the shit Donald Trump did. And then they were all reversed by executive order the second Biden took office. And now all the shit that Biden's going to do is a lot of it's going to be reversed with the executive order as soon as the next person takes office. And it's this never-ending cycle. But all the while, the people that suffer are the yous and me's. Those are the only people that suffer. I don't know. I'm just saying. If you guys want to do something, which is something you can do that's a little bit different, our Patriotic as F ammo cans. We're doing all new cans for March, which are available now. These are different, though, because we're going to ship the cans within like 48 hours. So if you place an order for it, you get it within 48 hours, which is a little bit, well, you'll get your shipping notice within 48 hours, which is quite a bit different than the way we've done it in the past. So if you would like to order, I got to get this chat open. If you would like to order it, do it now because what I'm going to do, what is today? So tomorrow is the first, what is today? Tuesday or Wednesday? It's Tuesday, right? I don't have a calendar open. What's next Wednesday's date? Someone let me know. What is next Wednesday's date? Shael said, I'm starting to think you're a plant for the left. Yeah, and I'm starting to think you're a troll, homie. Because that's a funny thing. When someone calls you a plant for the left, right, just because you have a view that is rational, a rational approach, or I have a rational view. That's what the fucking show is called. It's The Rational American. I don't hug the conservative line. I don't follow all conservative talking points. You know what I mean? I don't. And does that mean I'm a plant for the left? Nope. You know what it means? I'm an American. That's what it means. And when you realize that, and I'm guessing because of your fake profile name and all that, it's probably not a real profile and you're just trolling. But once everyone realized that you're an American before you're a Republican or Democrat, then we will get out from where this mess is. But until then, guess what? We're just going to be stuck in this never-ending cycle of bullshit. And I'll be completely honest with you. That is the truth. Until you remember that you're an American before you're any political party, whether you're independent, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, blah, blah, Green Party, you have to remember you're an American first. And then, only then, will we get our country back, if everyone can do that. But what I was going to say, so the 8th, I'll do a TV giveaway on the 8th. So all you got to do is order one of these ammo cans now between now and the 8th. Okay? And if you do the yearly subscribe and save, so you get 10, so you're paying for 10 months of ammo cans, you get 2 more for free. Anyone who's done that already, you're going to be entered in, so you don't have to worry about it. But anyone who does that this week too will give you a double entry into the TV giveaway. And the reason why is like we're very close to being able to do some amazing stuff. I just need you guys, your continued support in the store. And I have a shit ton of ammo cans. I've got a shit ton of the Declaration of Independence whiskey glasses. I'm still waiting on the books. They should come. But I just did another huge coffee order. So if you order the Patriotic ASF ammo cans, those will ship within 48 hours. Most likely, if you order today, I'm going to ship it tomorrow. It depends where the books are. But you'll get them really quick. And these are going to be new. So you'll get new patches, new stickers, new hats, new books, new whiskey glasses in it. So make sure you check it out. And I may do the Frank 01. Because I'm not going to do we may have hazelnut coffee by the end of the week. I got to see how quickly they can roast it. but then go there. Someone said got a picture of the can. Yeah, it's a 50 caliber can. The picture that's in the listing is not, that's a 30 caliber, because originally we were going to use a 30 caliber, but I put too much stuff in the can, so I had to go up to a 50 caliber can. But yeah, if you guys can, go and buy one. You have till, the 8th, and at the night of the 8th I'll do a giveaway. And then but yeah, please go buy some coffee, buy a hoodie, buy t-shirts, whatever. Our buy a hoodie, get a mug free deal is still going on. You just put the hoodie on your cart and add a mug to your cart, and the mug is free. And yeah, of course, if you're a first responder, veteran, active duty military, dependent or spouse, or firefighter, teacher, police, EMS, you get a 15% discount site-wide. Just choose the GovX one as you're going. But yeah, please, and you can use your military discount right now on this ammo can. You could use it on everything. So I appreciate all you guys for watching, and I will see all of you. No night show tonight and tomorrow. I will probably only be uploading videos because I have a dentist appointment tomorrow afternoon. I'm trying something new where I'm not working at night, so I could actually hang out with my family. And then on the weekends, I'll stay up and do the later shows with you guys. So make sure you share the video out and all that good stuff. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow. All right.